Welcome back to the Everyday English Podcast, everyone. I am Sarah, and I am joined today by Mark. We are so glad you could join us for this session because today we are moving from the theory of travel into the high-pressure, fast-paced reality of the road. In our previous episode, we spent time looking at how to get ready for a trip, how to pack the car until it is full, and how to plan our route. But today, we are focusing on a very specific moment that happens on every single journey. We are talking about the pit stop.
That is right, Sarah. I think for many English learners, the pit stop is actually one of the most intimidating parts of a trip. When you are in the car with your friends or family, you feel safe. You are listening to your music or a slow English podcast like this one. But the moment you pull into a gas station or a service area and step out of that car, everything changes. The world moves faster. People are in a hurry. The cashier speaks with a thick accent or uses a lot of slang. And suddenly, all that vocabulary you studied seems to disappear.
It really does. You might know the word for car or the word for bread, but do you know what to do when the cashier asks you if you want a car wash or if you have a loyalty card, all while 5 people are waiting in line behind you? If you have ever felt that interaction shock where your brain just freezes for a second, this episode is for you. We are going to slow everything down and simulate a real-life pit stop. By the time we are finished, you will have the exact phrases and the listening skills to handle any gas station in the English-speaking world. If you find these real-life breakdowns helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so you never miss our daily fluency practice.
Let's start at the very beginning of the pit stop, which is the gas pump. In the United States, we call it a gas station, while in the UK or Australia, you might hear petrol station or even a garage. Sarah, imagine we have just pulled off the highway. We are low on fuel. What is the first thing we need to know?
The first thing is actually a bit of physical coordination. You need to know which side your fuel tank is on. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people pull up to the pump only to realize the hose won't reach. But once you are parked, you have a choice. In many countries, you pay right at the pump with your credit card. This is convenient, but the machine will ask you questions. It might ask for your zip code for security, or it might ask if you want a receipt. Mark, what happens if the machine says, "See cashier"?
That is the moment where you have to go inside. Or perhaps you want to pay with cash. In that case, you need a very specific phrase. You walk into the store, walk up to the counter, and you say, "Can I get $30 on pump 5, please?" Notice the word on. We don't say for or at usually. We say on pump 5. This tells the cashier exactly which machine to activate. Sarah, why don't we try a few variations of that?
Good idea. If you are in the UK, you might say, "Can I put 20 pounds on number 4, please?" The key here is to be brief. Cashiers at gas stations are usually trying to move through the line quickly. You don't need a long, formal introduction. A simple, "Hi there, can I get 40 on 6?" is perfect. And remember, the numbers are usually clearly marked on the top of the pump. If you aren't sure, just look back at your car before you walk inside.
Another thing to watch out for is the type of fuel. On the pump, you'll see different buttons. Usually there's regular, mid-grade, and premium. For most rental cars, you just need regular. However, you must be very careful not to pick the diesel nozzle unless your car specifically requires it. In many places, the diesel handle is green, but don't rely on color alone. Always read the label. Sarah, what if someone wants to fill it up completely?
If you want a full tank, you can tell the cashier, "Fill it up on pump 2, please." They will then authorize the pump and you can go back out and pump until it clicks and stops. This click is the automatic shutoff. Once you are done, you might need to go back inside to get your change or your receipt. A great takeaway for this section is to practice saying your pump number out loud before you walk into the store. Just say pump 5, pump 5, pump 5 to yourself so you don't forget it the moment you see the cashier.
Now, let's talk about the hardest part for many listeners, the cashier interaction. This is where the connected speech happens. When a cashier asks you a question, they aren't going to speak like a textbook. They are going to use shrunken words. For example, instead of saying, "Do you want a receipt?" they might say, "Do you want a receipt?" It sounds like one long word.
Exactly. Let's break that down. Do you becomes dia. Want a becomes wanna. So, do you want a receipt? If you aren't expecting that sound, you might just hear receipt and feel confused. Another common one is about loyalty programs. They might ask, "Any rewards today?" Or, "Do you have a loyalty card?" If you don't, the easiest response is just, "No thanks." Mark, let's do a little role play. You be the fast-talking cashier, and I will be the customer. All right, I'm ready. I'm scanning our items quickly. That'll be $12.50. Do you want a bag? No, I'm good, thanks. Any rewards card with us? Not today, thanks. All right, hit the green button for me. Do you need a receipt? Yes, please. There you go. Have a good one. You too. Did you hear that at the end? Have a good one? This is perhaps the most common way to say goodbye in a casual setting in North America. It means have a good day or have a good trip, but it's very fast. If you respond with you too, you sound like a native speaker. Let's analyze that phrase, hit the green button for me. When you are paying with a card, the machine on the counter, the card reader, often has a screen. It might ask you to confirm the amount or ask if you want cash back. Cash back is when the store gives you paper money and adds that amount to your total bill. If you don't need cash, you just look for the no button, which is usually red. If the cashier tells you to hit the green button, they are usually telling you to accept or confirm the transaction. That is a great point. I noticed the word hit. In English, we often use hit instead of press for buttons. Hit the lights, hit the brakes, or hit the button. It's very informal and very common. Another thing people struggle with is the price. If the cashier says $12.50, they mean $12.50. They will almost never say the words dollars or cents. They just give you the two numbers. It's the same with $10.80 or $5.20. A good tip here for our listeners is to look at the screen on the register. If you didn't catch the number the cashier said, the price is almost always displayed on a small screen facing you. Don't be afraid to take a second to look. You don't have to understand everything through your ears alone. Use your eyes to help your ears.
Now, once the fuel is taken care of, we usually move on to the second reason for a pit stop, the snacks and drinks. In the Anchor video we studied, they used the word munchies. This is a fun slang word for snacks, especially the kind of salty or sweet things you eat while driving. When you walk into a large gas station or a convenience store, you are going to see aisles and aisles of options.
One thing you will see a lot of is the fountain drink station. This is a large machine where you pick a cup, fill it with ice, and then choose your soda or pop. There are often different sizes like small, medium, large, and sometimes a giant one called an extra large or a supersize. You might also see a slushy or Slurpee machine, which is that frozen, icy drink that kids love.
And don't forget the coffee. Most pit stops have a self-service coffee bar. You'll see different roasts like light, medium, and dark. You will also see decaf. Next to the coffee, there are creamers, which are small containers of milk or flavored cream, and sweeteners like sugar or honey. If you want to be quick, you can just grab a grab-and-go sandwich or a prepackaged solid from the refrigerated section.
Grab and go is such a useful phrase. It means something that is already prepared and packaged so you can pick it up and leave immediately. You don't have to wait for someone to cook it for you. Mark, what about the rollers?
Oh, the roller grill. This is a classic American gas station staple. It is a machine with metal bars that roll around cooking hot dogs, taquitos, or egg rolls. Usually, you use a pair of tongs to put the item into a bun or a bag yourself. Then you take it to the counter. It's very self-service. Speaking of self-service, let's talk about the most important part of many pit stops, the restroom. In the US, we say restroom. In a house, you say bathroom, but in a public place like a gas station, restroom is the standard. If you are in the UK, you will ask for the toilets or the loo. In Canada, you might hear washroom. This is a point where many travelers get nervous. Sometimes the restroom is at the back of the store and you can just walk in, but often the door is locked. You might see a sign that says, restrooms for customers only. This means you should probably buy something, like a bottle of water or a pack of gum, before you ask to use the facilities. Sarah, how do we ask for the key or the code?
You can walk up to the cashier and say, "Excuse me, do I need a key for the restroom? Or could I have the code for the bathroom, please?" Sometimes they will give you a physical key, often attached to a large, heavy object like a piece of wood or a hubcap. This is so people don't accidentally walk away with the key in their pocket. Other times, they will just tell you a 4-digit code, like 1234. This is a great listening exercise. If they give you a code, they will say it very quickly. If you don't catch it, just say, "Sorry, could you say that one more time?" There is no shame in asking. It's much better than walking all the way to the back of the store and realizing you don't have the numbers. A quick tip for our listeners: if you see a keypad on the door, it usually means there is a code. If you see a keyhole, you need to ask the cashier for the key. Now that we have our fuel, our snacks, and we've used the restroom, we are almost ready to hit the road again. But before we do, let's look at some of the small talk you might encounter. Gas stations are places where people from all over the country meet for just a few minutes. You might hear someone say, "Stay and dry," if it's raining outside, or hot enough for you if there is a heat wave. These are what we call phatic communication. They aren't real questions. They are just ways of being friendly. If someone says hot enough for you, they don't want to know the temperature. They just want you to agree that it is very hot. You can just smile and say, "Oh, definitely," or "too hot for me." It keeps the atmosphere friendly. Another thing to be aware of is the backseat driver or the co-pilot. If you are the passenger and you are doing the pit stop, you might be the one navigating. When you get back in the car, your driver might ask, "Are we all set?" This is a very common phrase meaning, "Are we ready?" or "Do we have everything?" You can answer, "Yep, all set," or "We're good to go." Let's talk about some car-related idioms that fit this pit stop theme. Have you ever heard the phrase running on fumes? Yes, that is a great one. Fumes are the gases that come from the fuel. If your car is running on fumes, it means the tank is almost completely empty. You are driving on the very last bit of gas. We also use this for people. If you have been working for 12 hours and you are exhausted, you can say, "I'm running on fumes. I need a nap." Another one is to top off. If your tank is half full but you want it to be 100% full before a long stretch of highway, you say, "I'm going to top off the tank." It just means to fill the remaining space. And finally, to floor it. This means to push the gas pedal all the way to the floor of the car to go as fast as possible. We don't recommend doing that leaving a gas station, though. Definitely not. Safety first. Now, let's review the flow of our pit stop. First, we pull up to the pump. We check our number. We decide if we are paying at the pump or inside. If we go inside, we use the word on, as in 20 on pump 5. Then we handle the fast-talking cashier by listening for shrunken words like wanna and do ya. We grab our munchies or grab-and-go items, check for the restroom code, and finish with a friendly, "Have a good one." It sounds so simple when you break it down like that, doesn't it? But the secret to fluency is not just knowing the words. It is practicing the rhythm of the interaction. You want to be able to say these things without thinking too hard. That is why we recommend shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to us speak and you try to repeat the words at the exact same time, mimicking our speed and our intonation. Let's try a quick shadowing exercise right now. I will say a sentence and I want you to repeat it immediately after me. Try to match my voice. "Can I get $40 on pump 8, please?" Now you try. "Is there a code for the restroom?" Your turn. "I think I'll grab a coffee and some snacks." Excellent. Doing this just a few times a day can rewire your brain to handle these real-life situations with much more confidence. And that brings us to the everyday English challenge for this episode. We don't want you to just listen. We want you to do something. Even if you aren't on a road trip right now, you can practice this. The next time you go into a store, any store, try to narrate your actions in English in your head. As you walk to the counter, think, "I am going to ask for a bag." As you pay, think, "The total is $5.60. If the cashier says something you don't understand, don't worry. Just try to identify one shrunken word they used. That is a fantastic habit. It turns every errands run into a mini English lesson. Remember, fluency isn't built in a classroom. It is built in the small moments of your daily life. It is built at the gas station, at the grocery store, and in the car. By focusing on these everyday English topics, you are training your brain to live your life in English, not just study it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of travel English, please consider subscribing to the Everyday English podcast. We bring you these real-life simulations, grammar and context, and listening practice every single day. Our goal is to help you feel at home in the English language, whether you are at work, with friends, or on the open road. Hit that like button if you learned a new phrase today, and leave a comment telling us about a time you had a travel disaster or a funny interaction at a gas station. We love reading your stories. It helps us know what topics to cover next. And if you have a friend who is planning a trip to an English-speaking country, share this episode with them. It might just save them from a lot of stress at their first pit stop. Also, remember that we have longer, 1-hour versions of these episodes for your long commutes. You can find those on our main channel page.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. It is a privilege to be part of your English journey. Keep practicing, keep listening, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every and is just a stepping stone to a perfect have a good one.
So, get out there, explore the world, and use your English. You have all your bases covered, and you are more ready than you think. Safe travels, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.
Have a good one.